First of all, thank you for this award. This is awesome, and this is fantastic. We've got such a great team in Lynchburg here that make our product and make our whiskey and make it what it is. It's really really exciting to see really this super traditional expression of our classic Tennessee whiskey garner this kind of attention. And we've certainly had a focus on innovation in the last several years. And I think it's a combination of things, and it will continue to be a combination of things. As master distiller, and I'm here at the distillery right now. This is my grandfather's office. He worked in this office for decades, and I get to sit in here now. So the history of this place, and I've been around this place for 40 years. Starting with him when I was a kid, and not even knowing what whiskey was until now. And the importance of that, I think, in innovative products like this is, our 12-year-old age-stated Tennessee whiskey. That is the DNA. The DNA of this product is our classic Old Number 7. That whiskey, the barrels that went into that bottling would have gone straight into Old Number 7 had we not chosen to do this expression with it. It's made exactly the same way, same process, same barrels. And so how cool is it that a recipe that started over 150 years ago here in Lynchburg, Tennessee, can still be appreciated and enjoyed at this level. It's just an amazing thing. And a lot of things that people don't know about a 10-year-old age stated and a 12-year-old age stated and more age stated whiskeys that will be coming from Jack Daniel's is this is just a part of our history. This is really not new at all for us. We were doing these exact age statements over 100 years ago. Back in the early 1900s, just prior to Prohibition, Jack Daniel himself was doing these age-stated whiskeys. And so when we started down this journey, it was simply to recreate what Jack himself had done. And so, this is a part of our history. It's part of making whiskey the way we've done it here generationally. That's a very important and profound statement for me personally, like I said earlier, with my family connection. But to get into a little more of, how I think that making and how we make the whiskey is the most important thing. Obviously, as a distiller, I think that that's obviously the most important thing to me. And in my role, it's the process. Because in straight Tennessee whiskey, just like straight bourbon whiskey or, any straight form of American whiskey, when you look at innovating, or if you look at just how do you assure quality and consistency, even, it's about controlling this process. There's not many levers we can pull because the only thing that goes into flavoring our product are the grains. You could say the yeast and fermentation and the barrel, and that's it. I guess you could say the water too, but you don't really want flavor in the water. You want good water, but you don't want any type of crazy off notes in your water. And so if you think about that, the grain bill for this product is our classic Tennessee whiskey, 80% corn, 12% malted barley, 8% rye. We're very passionate about only relying on the malted barley for conversion of starches to fermentable sugars. I think that is a very important thing, knowing that the naturally malted grain will break down those starches in a slower rate and actually feed the yeast a larger form of fermentable sugar, slowing down fermentation. Our fermentations will go out 7 days long, up to 7 days long, I should say. I think that really gives our yeast enough time to fully express itself and to put its thumbprint on the flavors of our whiskey as well. A lot of the fruity, estery notes, almost floral notes that you get on some of our different products, the precursors of that is absolutely laid down in the fermentation process. So this mashing and yeasting process, cultivating our own yeast on site. We have our own microbiologist on staff. We're using the same yeast my grandfather was using when he started here in 1957. And we continue to care for it, back culture it, and get it into our distillery fresh every week. Our microbiologist is bringing that in from our lab right next door. And so that is also a very critical thing. Our distillation process is a double distillation. We have column stills, all copper, 100%. And each column has an attached pot still that we refer to as a doubler. Again, a copper pot still there that we're distilling everything to, most everything into 140 proof is our typical distillation proof. From that point, obviously, Tennessee whiskey has to see that hard maple charcoal. And we do slowly filter that. It takes about 24 hours for whiskey to go through 10 feet of the charcoal that, of course, we also make here on site. We're making it from scratch of the hard maple, burning that here on site into charcoal, getting it in and out of our mellowing vats to filter the whiskey. The big thing about that process, there's a lot of confusion and maybe some misinformation out there that I've found, traveling and talking to people all over the world that love whiskey. Charcoal mellowing is not an additive process. It's a subtractive process. The whiskey goes in, clears water at 140 proof. 24 hours later, it comes out the bottom of that 10 feet. It still clears water at 140 proof. So there's nothing added. There's no flavor added by charcoal. This is pure black charcoal. This is not charred or toasted wood chips. This is black charcoal, so almost pure carbon. So it is a filtration process. And what it really removes is the heavy corn notes that come from an 80% corn mash bill. Obviously, at a 12-year-old aging process in that new oak barrel, you would not get a very cereal forward spirit, in the bottle, obviously. But even in something that would do like a classic old number 7 that's between 4 and 5 years old, you don't get a big corn note in that whiskey. That's because of this charcoal mellowing process. That's really the magic of what it does. And so obviously after the mellowing process, that clear whiskey will be reduced to 125 proof, entered into our brand new toasted and charred oak barrels. And of course, we are fortunate to have our cooperage up in Kentucky. We can do things and pull levers on innovation and different things around creating that barrel. And the barrel is obviously critical for any straight American whiskey. And I know this group knows that very well. So I won't get all into that process, other than the fact that, what an advantage it is to have our own coopers in house and to be able to rely on them for quality, consistency, and also for innovation. Again, I'm super, super proud. I'll wrap it up here pretty quick. That our 12-year-old age-stated whiskey, won these awards. I mean, double gold, best value, World Whiskey of the Year. I mean, my God, that's just amazing. And on behalf of our team here in Lynchburg and everybody that's been making our whiskey for years and years, and if my granddad were here, I wish I could toast a bottle of 12-year-old with him. But hey, maybe one day in the far distant future, I'll be able to do that at some point. But thank you again. And if anybody ever has any questions, feel free to always reach out. I want you to know anything you want to know about what we do here in Lynchburg. And I guess, first of all, the 12-year-old is fairly allocated. We try to spread that across the country as much as we can. I think it would probably be snapped up right here in the state of Tennessee if we let it. So we want our friends all over to get that. And I will say just one more note on that distribution, and we're going to make more. We want to grow this. I want to get this globally. It just takes a long time to make a lot of 12-year-old whiskey. So we're working on that. We're working on growing that and pushing our innovation to new boundaries. As far as applications and what the bartenders do, I mean, honestly, yeah, I think this whiskey at 107 proof and at 12 years old, I hate to pick favorites, but it just hits so many of kind of that right down the heart of my personal palate favorite profile. This has quickly become near and dear to my heart, just because everything is so rounded and integrated in this bottle. Obviously, Jack Daniel's whiskeys are naturally sweet inherently, and getting to this level of age, that low 100s of a proof point, I think is full flavored, full bodied, not overpowering though. Still has a great intensity. So, as far as applications of it, I just think put it in the glass and enjoy. I'm not gonna lie, but I would actually love to hear any other suggestions and things. I'm not much of a mixologist or a bartender. I know